Deliverable 2, written by Anna Dolan. Author's note, this presentation is being submitted on March 5th, 2019 for Ms. Audra Sherwood, Econ 3250 CBE, Section 2, Rasmussen College's Managerial Economics course. Good morning! All right, let's get this started. We're going to first go over our overview, and then we're going to go over some supply and demand graphs. These graphs will include 4 different scenarios. The first scenario being regulations are passed, which restrict drilling in many areas of the U.S. The second, the U.S. has a large increase in birth rates and population. The third is a recession occurs. We don't like to think about that, but it's something that does happen quite often. Scenario 4 will be there is an increase in availability of affordable alternative energy sources. And then at the end of this, we're going to wrap it up with a summary. And I'm going to give you my recommendations based on the graphs and the information that we go over today. Currently looking at increasing oil stores, and this is to better prepare for events that impact the market price of oil. So we're going to look into the equilibrium market. What is an equilibrium market? Well, it's when all participants are able to buy and sell as much as they want in the market. It's considered equilibrium. The situation where no participant wants to change this behavior because it's in the best benefit of everybody. The equilibrium price is a price which consumers can buy as much as they want and sellers can sell as much as they want also. At this price, the quantity demanded will equal the quantity supplied. The quantity is called the equilibrium quantity for this. So what we're looking for is shifts in the equilibrium price or quantity and how these different scenarios will work into supply and demand and how it will fluctuate. And that is what we're going to be going over today. Okay, the first scenario we're going to talk about is regulations are passed which restrict drilling in many areas of the U.S. to preserve protected areas. Well, what this is going to do to the equilibrium price is it will increase. This is due to there being less of the actual supply at this time because it's being restricted, so there's not as much drilling going on, so there's not as much oil coming out. And what it will do to the quantity is it's going to decrease, but the price is going to go up because we have that smaller quantity. So this is actually going to take our equilibrium supply line and it's going to make a shift to the left. Okay, our second scenario is the U.S. has a large increase in birth rate and population. The results of this will be that the equilibrium price is going to increase. And the equilibrium quantity will decrease. Let's start with the quantity here. The quantity is going to decrease because there's more people. And if there's more people who are going to need that oil. And that gasoline that's going to fuel our cars and get us where we need to go because there'll be more cars on the road with more people. So that price will increase because people are willing to pay more for that because there is the same amount is available, but there's just more people who are wanting it. So that price is going to increase. What this is going to do to our curve is it's going to take our demand curve and it is going to actually shift it to the right is what will happen when we take that equilibrium price increase and the equilibrium quantity decrease. All right, right, let's go on to scenario 3. Scenario 3 is a recession occurring. What this is going to cause to happen to our equilibrium price is it's going to decrease. And this is going to happen because during a recession, there's less money floating around. And people don't have that extra money, so they're going to find ways to save. Well, when we talk about oil and gasoline and stuff like that, people can find ways to save by not going on that trip, not taking that Sunday drive, carpooling. There's lots of ways that they can actually make, during a recession, can make their oil consumption less. This is going to take our equilibrium quantity and actually increase it because there's not as many people buying the oil at this point in time. So what this is going to do to our demand curve is it is actually going to make it shift to the left because of the equilibrium price decreasing and that equilibrium quantity going up. Scenario 4, there's an increase in availability of affordable energy sources. Well, what this is going to do is it's going to take our equilibrium price and it's going to make it decrease. And this is due to, we're going to have to lower the price to keep up with these more affordable options that are out there. And our equilibrium quantity is going to go up. It's going to increase. And that's because people are buying this cheaper alternative energy sources that they can. In the oil industry, that may be E85 is, a little bit less expensive. And if it becomes even more less expensive and more readily available, that's going to make our quantity increase because we're selling less of gasoline at these gas stations. And what this is going to do to our demand curve is it's going to take our demand curve and it's going to move it to the left. And that's what happens when we have the price decrease and the quantity increasing. The same as we did during that recession. This is going to be the same type of scenario as to how it affects our curve because there's less demand for our product and it's going to cause us to have to decrease that price to make people gain interest back in the product. Okay, let's go over a summary here. First, we went over our overview, found out a little bit of background information about what we were talking about. Then, we went over the supply and demand graphs, where we used 4 different scenarios to set up these graphs. The first scenario was regulations are passed, which restrict drilling in many areas of the U.S. to preserve protected areas. The second is the U.S. has a large increase in birth rate and population. The third scenario is a recession occurs. The fourth scenario is there is an increase in availability of affordable alternative energy sources. My recommendation at this time is to not go forward with increasing any of the oil stores because in all of these scenarios, it really wasn't a winning situation for us to increase our oil stores with the different scenarios that could potentially happen within the market.